welcome back to another class on Gemara Journey with Rashi. We are continuing in Masechet Berachot, Daf Gimel Amud Bet. This will be part 7 of the Shi'ur. We are about 7 lines from the middle of the page, beginning from the wide lines down, and we want to start today with David Bepalga, the Leila Havikai. That's where we want to begin. Now, today we want to try to see on a point that we actually had so earlier. We started speaking about in the previous classes that the reason why Rebbe holds that the night consists of 4 watches, because like Rabbi Zrika, who said it in the name of Rabbi Ami, who said it in the name of Rabbi Shua ben Levi, said because the pasuk says, Chatzot Laila Akum Lehodot Lach Al Mishpetei Tzidkatecha. That David HaMelech said that I would wake up in the middle of the night, at midnight, to thank you Hashem on your righteous laws. Now we want to go back on that. This next whole topic is going to focus on that one verse of Chatzot Laila Akum Lehodot Lach. So comes the Gemara, and the Gemara asks the question, David Bipalga de Leila Havikai? What? Did David get up in the middle of the night? Me'uta Havikai. He would get up in the beginning of the evening. Rabotai, if you look into Rashi, Rashi says, where it says the word Dibra Madchil Me'orta. How does Rashi learn the word Me'orta? Mitchilad Halayla, from the beginning of the night. So if we look back into the Gemara, and we're going to read it with the Rashi, what? Did David get up at midnight? Me'orta Havikai. David HaMelech would get up in the beginning of the night. How do we know that David HaMelech would get up in the beginning of the night? Dichtiv, because the pasuk says, Kidamti baneshev va'ashavea. Because David HaMelech said these words, Kidamti baneshev va'ashavea. So now, like usual, we have to see what this verse means. So we're going to go in the back. If you look into Torah or Shalom, where it says, Kedamti baneshev va'ashavea, lidvarecha yachalti. That's in Perik 119, verse 147. We go in the back of the Sefer Mikraot. It's on page Yuzan if you're using this book. And it says over there like this. Kedamti baneshev. What does it mean, Kedamti baneshev? Comes the Mefarshim over here and they say, Kedamti lechol adam la'amod beneshev, which is in parentheses, meaning to tell you balayla at night. Va'asha ve'a. What does that mean? Again, it's in parentheses. Ve'etz'ak lecha b'tifila ki ani miyachel u'mikaveh likiyum devarecha u'mitpalal ani alahem. And I screamed to you, and I screamed out to you, Hashem, in prayer, because I hope for the fulfillment of your words, and I prayed on them. Now we're seeing over here 2 things. When it says over the word baneshev, the commentary over here wants to translate the word baneshev means night. When it says with the word va'ashave'ah, the commentary wants to translate it ve'etzak, and I will scream. So if we go back to read the pasuk in Tehillim, what did David HaMelech say? He says, Kadamti, I preceded before every single person to get up at night, meaning in the beginning of the night, va'ashave'ah, to scream out to you, lidvarecha yachalti, and I have hoped for your words that they can become true. So we see from this verse, Rabotai, that David, when did David HaMelech get up? He got up in the beginning of the night. Clearly says, Kadamti lechol adam la'amod balayla. I preceded every single person to get up in the night. Now if we go back to the Gemara and Daf Gimel Amud Bet, if you read it like this now, did David bipalga de Leila Havikai? What? Did David get up at Chatzot? Me'uta Havikai. David would get up, like Rashi said, in the beginning of the night. Where's our proof? Dichti, because it's written in the verse, Kadamti baneshev va'ashave'ah. Right? I proceeded to get up in the beginning of the night before everybody else, and I screamed out to you. Comes the Gemara and continues, Umimai dehai neshev or tohu. How do we know from where? Rabota, umimai literally means, in Hebrew means uminayin, from where? Umimai dehai neshev, from where does one know that that word neshev, or tohu, is considered to be evening? How do you know that? Very simple, there's another verse. Dichtiv, like it's written in Mishlei, Beneshev be'erev yom, be'ishon laila va'afela. Rabotai, let's go back to the Sefer HaMikraot to see the verse, and we come back right over here. We're going to Mishlei, Perek Zayin, Pasuk Tet. Here, it says, Perek Zayin, Pasuk Tet, Beneshev, what does it mean, Beneshev? Be'et ha'choshech, at the time when it was dark. So again, we see from over here, I should have told you the Pasuk first, before translating it. Beneshev literally would be like this. In the twilight, be'erev yom, in the evening of the day, be'ishon laila, in the blackness of the night, va'afela, and darkness. That's the pasuk. Comes the commentary and he wants to explain how do you learn this. What does mean beneshev be'erev yom? Beneshev literally means be'et ha'choshech, at the time of darkness. Be'ishon laila, be'shecharut laila, when it says B'ishon Laila, it means at the blackness of the night. So Neshev is telling you the period, where it's the beginning of the night. Then Laila is when it's already dark outside. Now let's go back to Daf Gimel Amud Bet, and let's see that inside. Umimai dehai Neshev or Tuhu. From where do we know that the word Neshev, it means in the beginning of the night? How do we know it means in the evening? Dichtiv, because the pasuk says, Beneshev be'erev yom be'ishon laila va'afela. In the darkness of the evening, in the blackness of the night and its darkness. If you look into Rashi, Rashi plays on the words of the pasuk. Look what Rashi says. What means Beneshev be'erev yom? Take the word Beneshev and apply the words be'erev yom. Apply it to the word Benesh. That the meaning, the way Rashi is explaining it, Beneshev and Be'erev Yom, the word Be'erev Yom is coming to explain the pasuk Beneshev. What does that mean? So here we go. Beneshev Be'erev Yom. What is the Be'erev Yom doing there? It's telling you Beha'ariv Hayom. When the day set, meaning when it's in the evening, in the beginning of the evening. Karu Neshev. That's what he says. Beha'ariv Hayom. When it's evening, meaning when the day set, when the sun set, Kairu Neshev, that's when you're going to call the time Neshev. So we see from over here, Neshev is called in the beginning of the night. One more time, Rabotai. Beneshev be'erev yom, what does it mean be'erev yom? Beha'ariv hayom, Karu Neshev. When the day set, when its night came out, that's called Neshev. So we see clearly from over here a very solid proof that when did David the Melech wake up? He woke up in the beginning of the night. If you woke up in the beginning of the night, I have a problem with the previous pasuk that we said, Chatzot laila akum lehodot lach. What does that mean? Did David HaMelech wake up at Chatzot laila, which means midnight? Or did he wake up Beneshev in the beginning of the night? So from here we have a contradiction. One place it says David would wake up at Chatzot laila, and in another place it says David would wake up in the middle of the in the beginning of the night. It's a contradiction. Continues the Gemara to give three. Let me see. 1, 2. I think 1, 2. 1 second. 1, 2, 3. Continues the Gemara to give 3 answers to resolve this difficulty. The Gemara says, Amar Rab Oshaya. Rav Oshaya said, Amar Rabbi Acha, who said it in the name of Rabbi Acha. Hachi ka'amar David. If you look into the Hagot V'Tzinim, he says you have to erase the word David, but it doesn't matter. But I will read it anyway. Hachi ka'amar David. This is what David said. Me'olam lo avar alay chatzot laila b'sheina. Never did midnight pass over me while I was sleeping. Rabotai, look into Rashi. Rashi says, what does it mean, Hachi ka'amar? If you look into Rashi where it says, it's a hey and then a kuf. You have over there Ot Aleph, you have to look into the Hagot HaBach, right over here, Rabotai. Right over here. You have to add the word high. Just add the word high. That. So he says like this. High krad. So I'm adding the word high into Rashi. High krad de chatzot laila. That pasuk, when it says chatzot laila, akum lehodod lach, do you know how you have to learn that pasuk? Don't read it that David HaMelech woke up in the middle of the night to thank Hashem. Don't read it like that. How you have to read it? This is how you have to say it. Me'olam lo avar alai chatzot laila b'sheina. Never did midnight pass over me while I was asleep. Shekodem lechem ha'iti omed, because before then I was already up. That means David HaMelech did get up in the beginning of the night, and he wouldn't go to sleep until after midnight. But midnight would never pass over him while he was asleep. So really now there's no contradiction. When it says in the verse, Chatzot laila kum lehodot lach, al mishpetei tzedekatecha, don't understand that's when he actually woke up. What he was really telling you was that Chatzot laila never passed over me while I was asleep. And that's what he means to say, when he says Chatzot laila akum, I will get up, meaning he was already up, because he was up from the beginning of the night. Okay, Rabotai, so let's go back one more time into the Gemara and read that one more time. Rabbi Oshai said, Rabbi Acha, in the name of Rabbi Acha. Hachik Amr, this is what David HaMelech was saying. When he said in the verse, Chatzot laila, akum lehodot lach, this is what he was really saying. Me'olam lo avar alai chatzot laila b'sheina. Never did midnight pass over me while I was sleeping. So when we read the pasuk now, when a person is going to do the pasuk in Tehillim, chatzot laila akum lehodot lach al mishpetei tzedekatecha, you have to understand that doesn't mean that David HaMelech got up at chatzot laila. He's telling you that David HaMelech was already awake before midnight. But at midnight, he would give the praises to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Okay, Rabotai? So therefore, this is one answer. We asked a question. The Gemara asked a question. You want to tell me that David HaMelech woke up at Chatzot? We see clearly another verse says that David HaMelech would wake up in the beginning of the night. So how do you resolve the issue? Came Rabbi Oshai in the name of Rabbi Acha, said not a problem. This when he says that he would wake up at Chatzot Laila doesn't mean that he would wake up. He was telling you that I was never asleep when midnight passed by. That was one answer. Another answer, another answer. Rabbi Zera Amar, Rabbi Zera said, do you know what means he would wake up in the middle of the night? Ad Chatzot Laila haya mitnamnem kesus. Until Chatzot Laila he would be dozing off like a horse. Mikan ve'elach, from there and on, haya mitgaber ka'ari. From there and on, he would strengthen himself like a lion. Rabotai, listen to this very carefully. When David HaMelech says, Chatzot laila akum, it means in the middle of the night I will get up. So that means really he got up in the middle of the night, no? Not in the beginning of the night like we were saying before. Comes Rabbi Zer and he says, you know the shot over here is? He was really awake in the beginning of the night, but he was dozing off till midnight. But when midnight came, he got up, he strengthened himself to go ahead and give praises to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Rabotai, listen to this very carefully. He was dozing in the beginning of the night and he got up completely from midnight. So therefore, it doesn't even contradict Rabbi Oshai's opinion. It doesn't contradict it because, again, he was not sleeping during midnight. Look into Rashi. Rashi says, Mitnamnem kesus, right? Because before Chatzot, he was dozing off like a horse. What was he doing the first half of the night? Osek betorah kishu mitnamnem. Whoa! He was oisik in the Torah while he was dozing off. Rabotai, Rabotai, do you hear the language? Not that he was reading Chumash, he was oisik. He was delving into the Torah while he was still dozing off. But he was not fully asleep. Like Rashi says, Kisus hazeh, like this horse, she'eino nirdam lo oilam, it never goes to sleep. Elam mitnamnem v'neor tamid, rather he's always dozing off, but he's constantly awake. He's always awake, the horse. The horse never sleeps. He dozes off, but in reality he's awake. Same thing with David HaMelech. David HaMelech, the first half of the night, he was oisik b'Torah. And then from there and on, from Chatzot and on, he would strengthen himself. He would get up from his stage of dozing off. Rabotai, if this over here is not going to get you to learn Torah, we have a humongous problem. What do I mean? How many of us, it comes a time when you're tired, the curse word, Chas v'shalom, right? When you're tired, you want to have fun, right? Rabotai, how many of us, when we're tired, we can't learn Torah? We have to do something else to keep us busy until we fall asleep, or to get our mind away from something. I don't know. Rabotai, over here it says, David HaMelech, while he was dozing off, he was halfway sleeping, halfway not sleeping. He was catching his strength. At the same time, he was oisik b'Torah. He was toiling in the Torah. And we, Rabotai, when we are tired, Rabbi, I can't do it. I can't come to class. Are we serious, Rabotai? If David HaMelech, Rabotai, while he was dozing, he was oisik in Torah, how much more so we, Rabotai, how much more so we, that we're not dozing, we're just tired. We have to strengthen ourselves to go ahead and learn Torah. Even when you're tired, you should learn Torah. If you're going to come and you're going to tell me, Rabbi, David HaMelech, was David HaMelech, he was able to do it, we can't. He's a big person. Rabotai, on the contrary, if David HaMelech was a big person and he did it, where he could have taken the time to go relax, how much more so we, Rabotai, that are not that big, we should be concerned and learn a lot of Torah even when we're tired. Just the other way, Rabotai, look at it the other way. That's why, Rabotai, this Rashi is very powerful for me. This Rashi speaks to me, Rabotai. Every Rashi, I love Rashis. But this Rashi speaks to me. How can you tell me, Rabotai, I'm tired, I can't learn Torah? Somebody came up to me and says, Rabbi, when I learn Torah, not one time, but people, how do you learn Torah by not going to sleep? How do you go to sleep when you learn Torah, Rabotai? People tell me I learn Torah and I fall asleep. How do you fall asleep while learning Torah? That means you're not learning Torah. And I'll tell you the truth. If I have nothing, Rabotai, again, I have nothing, I want people to understand this correctly. I have nothing against people learning English Sepharim. They're there to help you grow. You use them, Rabotai, you need them. It's like a cane. But there is a very big difference where you have to break your head and try to understand the subject at hand versus it's being spoon-fed to you, where there's no fun, your mind is not working, so yeah, of course you're going to fall asleep. Rabotai, that's what a person has to understand. If David HaMelech haya osek b'Torah kishu mitnamnem, if David HaMelech was oisek, not stam, Rabotai, oisek, toiling in the Torah while he was dozing off, like this horse that never sleeps, but rather dozes off, but it's always constantly awake. How much more so we, Rabotai, even when you're tired? I'm saying when you're tired. How many of us, when we're not tired, we don't learn? Whoa, that's a very big no-no, Rabotai. Each one will be held accountable for every single second that he wasted when he had the time to learn Torah. Make no mistake, Rabotai, I'm telling you. You can tell me all you want, Rabotai. You can tell me all your stories, all the things it's fine, do whatever you have to do. In the end, you will understand, Rabotai, reality. I'm telling you, Rabotai, read, learn, halachot. Look at the Gemara, look at the Rishonim, Achronim, Amoraim. Look at our Gedolim, how they were afraid to waste time. I'm not telling you can't be with your wife. you can't be with your children. I'm not telling you can't take vacations with your children or your wife. I'm not saying that. That's not considered to be wasting time. That's considered to be you're being with your wife and children. That's a mitzvah. Oisik ben mitzvah, pater min a mitzvah. But when you have the ability, when your wife is not bothering you, when your children are not bothering you, and you're like a bum sitting and watching and scrolling all day, that's a very big problem, Rabotai. Now you have no, what do you call it? No excuse to why you're not learning Torah. In any event, if you understood this Rashi, highlight it, put it on the wall somewhere, and this should actually make you want to learn Torah even till late at night, early in the morning, doesn't matter. Okay, let's get back into the Gemara. So that was the pshat from Rabbi Zera. Rabbi Zera said, Rabbi Zera Amar, until midnight he was dozing off like a horse while he was oisik b'Torah. But from chatzot and on, he strengthened himself like a lion. That's Rabotai, how we can see from over here that it's not contradictory when one pasuk says he would get up in the middle of the night and another pasuk says he would get up in the beginning of the night, because it's both true. He began to start to serve Hashem and learn Torah in the beginning of the night, but he fully strengthened himself at Chatzot. Okay, Rabotai, next answer, one more answer. Rav Ashi said, Ad Chatzot Laila Haya Osek Batorah B'Divri Torah. Until Chatzot Laila he would be oisik in the words of Torah. Mikam ve'elach b'shirot v'tishbachot. From here and on, he would go ahead and he would be busy with praising HaKadosh Baruch Hu, with song and praise. If you look into Rashi, Rashi says, b'shirot v'tishbachot v'hachim ifarsh b'hokra lehodot lach v'gemer. And that's how you're going to have to go ahead and explain that verse when it says over there, Chatzot Laila akum lehodot lach. Wow, you're going to get up to go ahead and thank him? Yes, because why? The first half of the night he was learning Torah. The second half of the night he was singing praises to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So really it's not a contradiction once again. And that's why it says, Chatzot Laila akum lehodot lach. Not to tell that he just got up. It's to tell that he got up from learning Torah to sing praises to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Okay. So those were the three answers by Rabbi Oshaya, in the name of Rabbi Acha, then Rabbi Zera, and then Rabbi Ashi. Rabotai, just from heart to heart, if we would only live what our Chachamim tell us, I'm afraid to say we would be angels. I don't want to say we would be angels. It's not good to be an angel. We're not perfect. But our avodat Hashem would have been much more better. Our davening would have been sincere. Our berachot would have been sincere. There would be meaning in avodat Hashem, not acting in avodat Hashem. Okay. Rabotai, now the Gemara continues back to Pilpul. The Gemara says, Ihachi, one second. I skipped something. No, I skipped a few lines. The Gemara asks a question. V'neshev ortuhu? Remember, what's neshev? Neshev is what? It's at the beginning of the night, evening, correct? Comes the Gemara says, Rabotai, v'neshev ortuhu? Do you want to tell me that neshev? I'm going to be using the word neshev because now we're going to see that there's different definitions on how to use the word neshev. So when I say neshev, you're going to have to go with what the next word in the Gemara is going to try to explain that word. So the Gemara says, v'neshev ortuhu, the word neshev, it means the evening. Ha-neshev tafrahu. But one second, but doesn't neshev mean that it's the morning? Dichtiv, how do we know? Because it's written in the pasuk. Vayikem David meha-neshev ve'ad ha'erev lemacharatam. Rabotai, Torah or Shalom. Which verse is this going on? Shmuel, Perik Aleph. Shmuel Aleph, Perik Lamed, Pasuk Yud Zed, Pasuk Yud Zayin. Let's go see it in the back. Let's go see Shmuel in the back. Rabotai, you guys getting the drift how easy it is to learn the Gemara when you have the Pasukim, when you understand the Pasukim. Okay, let me see over here. Shmuel Aleph, we said correct. Shmuel Aleph. Yud Zayin. No. Lamed Yud Zayin. Yes. Shmuel Aleph, Perek Lamed, Pasuk Yud Zayin. Says over there, Vayikem David mehaneshev ad ha'erev lemacharatan, and David smote them from Neshev. I'm not translating the word Neshev again. Don't forget. Mehaneshev ad ha'erev, from Neshev until the evening of the following day. V'lo nimlad mehem ish, and not one man was able to escape. Ki im arba meot ish na'ar asher rachbo al ha'gimalim v'yanusu. Only 400 young men that were riding under camels, and they ran away. Only 400 men were able to run away from David's wrath. Comes the Mefarshim over here and they say, what does it mean, Vayekem David? Who did David fight? Who did David kill? Comes the Mefarshim, they say, La'amelekim sheshavu et nashei u'banei David v'anashav. So the Amalekim Rabotai that captured the wives and the children of David and their men. So he says, Vayekem David. Now we know who David went ahead and he smote. Who did he kill? He went against the Amalekim. Mehaneshev. What means Mehaneshev? Look, Rabotai, the Pasuk over here is already telling us what means Mehaneshev. The Gemara is going to make a problem out of it, but over here it tells you what Neshev is. Mehaneshev, you have to learn like this. Me'erev yom zeh, from this evening, ad erev shel merecharato, until the following evening, the following day of the evening. Kol oto, so explains over in parentheses, kol otah halayla, that whole night, David was going ahead and he killing the Amalekim. V'chol yom ha-mecharat, and also the following morning, ad ha'erev, until the evening. That's what it means. From the evening until the evening of the following day. Lemecharatam, why does he have to say until the following day? Lemecharat ha'chaniyatam, until the following day of when they went and they encamped, when they rested. What does the word mean? Nimlat, lashon hatzalah, language of saving. So now that we know this, let's go back into the pasuk. Vayikem David went ahead and he smote the Amalekim mehaneshev ve'ad ha'erev, from Neshev until the evening. The way the pasuk wants to explain it, the Mefarish wants to explain the pasuk, it means from the evening until the evening. Lemecharatam, and the following day when they rested. V'lo nimlat mehem ish, and not one man was saved. Ki im arba meot ish, only 400 men. Na'ar, that were young, asher rachbo al hagimalim, that rode on the camels, veyanusu, and they all ran away. So now we see from this pasuk that the word of Neshev means Erev. Very good. Let's go back to the Gemara, Rabotai. Okay. Gemara asks the question back. Let's start from the beginning. V'neshev ortuhu, is Neshev evening? Neshev tavrahu. But isn't Neshev morning? How do I know Neshev is morning? Dichtiv, because it says, Vayikem David meha Neshev. Because David HaMelech went and he smote Amalekim from Neshev, don't translate it yet, Ve'ada erel lemacharatam, until the evening of the following day. My love, the Gemara says, must be, let the Gemara speak to you. Must be mitzafra ve'ad leilam. Must be this pasuk is teaching us me'ah neshev ve'ad erev, that David HaMelech was killing the Amalekim from the morning until the evening. So you see clearly from over here, neshev does not mean evening. So how did you tell me before that neshev means evening? We see clearly neshev means morning. Comes the Gemara says, no. Wrong understanding. Me'orta ve'ad orta. Do you know what means neshev, Rabotai? Neshev means from the evening to the evening. Like we explained it in the back of the book in the Sefer HaMikra'ot. Comes the Gemara with another question. You know something? Did he die? Okay. Rabotai, let's just do the Rashi. It's not hard. Let's do the Rashi. Because if you got, let's just do the Rashi. Rabotai, it says, Lemacharatam. Sham. On the following day when they rested there, that's what means Lemacharatam, like we saw in the Sefer HaMikrot in the back. Now if you see over there, Hey Gimel, Again, we don't have to read this, but when Rashi is telling you Hachi Garsinan, this is how you have to have the text. That means Rashi had a different text in the Gemara. So Baruch Hashem, everything's already revised, everything's clean and Musudar, arranged, mistakes are fixed. Hagod Vichunim. But you have to remember, Rabotai, their Gemaras were completely different than our Gemaras. So when you see the word Hachi Garsinan, Rashi, you have to understand, Rashi had a different text. That's what Rashi is telling you. You should learn this Gemara like this, like he's going to bring it down in Rashi, which you already have that language inside in the Gemara. So he says like this, you have to read like this. Ihachi, if so, if you're going to tell me that Neshev, oh, 1 second, right, he's going to tell you, correct, right. That's what he's going to tell you, what we're going to see the next lines in the Gemara. Ihachi, if so, because why don't we just say on top? We said on top right now, lo, Neshev does not mean morning, Neshev has to be evening, and what it mean? Mil orta ve'ad orta, from the evening until the evening. So the Gemara, so Rashi says, you have to learn this like just exactly like the Gemara says. But I'm in Rashi. Ihachi, if so, lichto, why don't you write? Mehaneshev ve'ad haneshev. So why didn't the pasuk say from Neshev until Neshev? And I would have known that Neshev is evening because we have pasukim from before that to prove that. Or meha'erev v'ad ha'erev, or should have said clearly from the evening until the evening. If you pay close attention to the pasuk, it says that David smote the Amalekim mehaneshev v'ad ha'erev. Why the double switch? Why the double language? Either it's neshev according to you because you want to learn neshev is evening, or either go with erev because remember you're saying man neshev ad erev. Use one terminology. What are you telling me? Neshev erev. Either use neshev, or either use the erev. So erev over here also. If you want to learn that neshev is evening. Eila, I'm still in Rashi. Eila Amar Rav Ashi Trei Nisfei Havu. Rather, Rav Ashi says that there's two ways that you can learn the word Neshev. Now let's go back into the Gemara exactly word for word, because he said this is the text you have to have, and they already put it for us. So that's what we're going to have over here. So the Gemara says, if so, that you want to tell me that Neshev means Orta, Lechtov me'an Neshev ad Neshev. Let the Gemara write from the evening until the evening, or me'ha'erev v'ad ha'erev, or from the evening until the evening. So why didn't they do that? So that's why we have a very big problem. Since they didn't write it, we have a very big problem. It could go ahead and contradict everything that we've been learning up to now. That means if I'm going to learn that this Neshev does not mean evening, then we didn't have a question with David HaMelech waking up in the beginning of the night versus waking up at Chatzot Laila. So comes Ela Marabba, rather Rabba said, Trei Nishefei Havu. You have to say that there's two Neshevs. One Neshev we're going to see means night, like we've been learning, because the question has to stand. One Neshev we're going to see, it means to jump. So you could learn Neshev could mean two different words. So let's see this one more time. Elam Rabba, rather Rabba said, Trei Nishfei Havu. There are two Neshevs. Nishaf Laila ve'ati Yoma. Yamama. The night jumped, meaning it left, and came day. Nishav Yamama, the day jumped, meaning the day left, ve'ati Leila, and the night came. Look into Rashi Rabbi Sai. Nishav Yamama. What does it mean, Nishav Yamama? Rashi tells you what it means Nishav. Immediately he tells you, Kafatz ve'Allah. It jumped and went up, meaning it left. Kimol l'nshov miduchte. Like if you look into Masechet Megillah Daf Gimel Amud Aleph, it says there l'nshov miduchte. Use the language of Neshev, the source. The root word is Neshev. What means Neshev? L'nshov miduchte. To jump from one's place. So you see again, Neshev could be used also to jump, not only evening. Ukemo hai buka de atma dishav miduchte. If you look into Masechet Chulin Daf Mem Bet Amud Bet, over there it says that the thigh has like a round head around it. Buka de atma, the head of the thigh. Dishav miduchte. It slipped. It jumped from its place. Right? It became dislocated. Rabotai, we see over here what? That the word Neshev can mean to jump. So now we can understand that everything over here is fine. At times we're going to use Neshev to mean Urta, meaning evening. So therefore, you have no question. So the question stood, and the three answers that we gave were perfect. And if you're going to come and bring me the pasuk when it says mehanesh vad ha'erev lemecharatan, you can't bring me the pasuk over there, because this pasuk, Rabotai, you could also say that the day left and night came, or the night left and the day came. You can learn neshav either way.